Hi guys, it's Mr. Lawton. I hope you're all doing well. This lesson, this short video, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the Protestant Reformation and the Renaissance. But before we do that, I would like you to do a little review. You should already have viewed the previous video on Christianity in the Middle Ages. And so what I would like do before we get into this lesson is I'd like to have you do a do now. It's on the first page, page number 1 of the packet that I sent you accompanying this video on the Reformation. There's a 4-page packet. It's not a lot. It's kind of printed big, so don't stress it. But I would like you to just review a little bit from the last video. And these are the exact same questions that you had on the quiz from the last video, as you probably are already noticing that, and it's all multiple choice. I'd just like you to kind of go through and see what you remember from the previous lesson, from the previous video. So what would like you to do is pause the video for a moment and just answer those 3 questions real quick before you continue, and then come back. Okay, so hopefully you have completed that quiz and did okay and remembered well from the previous video. Shouldn't have been too hard for you. Again, in this lesson, we're going to talk about the Protestant Reformation and the Renaissance. And to start out with, let's talk a little bit about the medieval church. The medieval church. We talked a little bit about that in the last video. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church provided security, stability, and hope for people, especially through the Black Death. But the church also experienced corruption, a decay of Christianity's original message. The Inquisition showed that the church could be ruthless in its response to those who opposed the changes or disagreed with the Catholic beliefs. During this time, leaders in the church were becoming rich by selling forgiveness for sins and positions of power in the church. They also became very powerful by controlling who was allowed to read the Bible and claiming that only a priest could interpret God's words. And so what I'd like you to do now is go back to your packet, your Reformation packet on page 2, and just complete those questions. There's 4 questions there. Should be real easy for you to complete those 4 questions. Pause the video and complete those 4 questions, and then come back. Okay, now that you're back, let's continue with the Reformation. So we just talked about the medieval church and all of that, and now we're going to talk about the Protestant Reformation specifically. The Protestant Reformation started as an effort to reform the Catholic Church. It began with a German monk named Martin Luther. Luther was a teacher of theology or religion who became troubled about the possibility of not going to heaven. He led a strict life, but was worried about sin. No matter how hard he tried, he knew he could never be perfect. As he studied the Bible, Luther found the answer he was looking for, as he realized the Bible teaches that salvation is not by being good, doing good deeds, or following religious rituals. He came to believe that faith alone could save him, but this went against the teaching of the church. On October 31st, 1517, Luther posted on a church door in Wittenberg his 95 Theses, saying salvation is achieved through faith alone. He just wanted the church to clean up their act, but the church didn't want to. Posting things on the church door was really no big deal. That is where people posted all kinds of notices. The church basically laughed at him, but the people didn't laugh. The church was mad, but many people followed Luther. These people became known as Lutherans. The 95 Theses was a list of beliefs that Martin Luther insisted the church should adopt. They included a few things. First, people could not buy off their sins. Only God could forgive sins. People were naturally sinful and could seek salvation by believing that Jesus died for their sins and rose from the grave. Priests should be subject to the law, the same as ordinary men and women. Priests were not divine beings, and all people should be allowed to read the Bible and interpret it for themselves. So these were the things that were, many of the things anyway, that Martin Luther was trying to reform the church with, and that the church really didn't accept that very well. And so that's pretty much what I wanted to give you as far as the Protestant Reformation. And so what I'd like you to do now is pause the video one more time and go to pages 3 and 4, the last 2 pages of the Reformation packet that I sent you, and complete pages 3 and 4. All the text is there for the questions, so you should be able to draw your answers for those questions from the text in the packet. It shouldn't be too hard for you. So if you just pause your video and complete that and then come back. Okay, so hopefully you didn't have too much trouble answering those questions. If you have any trouble or any questions as we're doing these videos, guys, and I'm sending them to you, don't be afraid to shoot me an email or have a parent or guardian send me an email. My email address at school is jlawton, my last name Lawton, jlawton at ndyfs.org. jlawton at ndyfs.org. That email address, I believe, is also on the school's website as well. So if you have any questions about the material I'm sending you, or about the videos, or any of those things, or the instructions, or anything else, please feel free to send me an email or have a parent or guardian send me an email. And so to finish up our lesson in this video, we're going to go on to the Renaissance. The Renaissance, and there's several things that we want to talk about with regard to the Renaissance. The word Renaissance literally means rebirth. The Renaissance refers to a time of rebirth and reinvention of learning and thinking that began in Italy in the 14th century. The Renaissance spread through the North, including England, in the 16th century. It ended in the 17th century. This was a time of awakening of intellectual awareness. Renaissance men and women believed that human life was both interesting and extremely valuable, and tried to develop all their talents. The Renaissance was a time of new thinking and new discoveries. Renaissance thinkers associated themselves with classical values. They began to steer away from the beliefs of the Middle Ages, including superstitions and religious beliefs. So you may see some good and bad in this time that's called the Renaissance, and it's kind of up to you to kind of look at that with your own critical thinking skills and decide for yourself what you think and what you believe is with regard to the Reformation versus the Renaissance and religion and all of those things. But as far as the Renaissance, one of the big things about the Renaissance was art. And so if you are looking at your screen right now at the video, you can see there are several images there that are artistic, that are paintings. And there are 3 particular artists that I wanted to draw your attention to with our discussion on the Renaissance. Many of the most influential artists that we know today were a part of the Renaissance. First of all, Leonardo da Vinci. I'm sure you've heard the name. Leonardo has often been described as the perfect example of the Renaissance man. That's because da Vinci was a man of many talents. But he is best known for his paintings, such as the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. You can see the Mona Lisa there at the bottom right of the screen, and the Last Supper to the left of that on the bottom. Those are both da Vinci paintings. And then there was Michelangelo, or some people say Michelangelo. Michelangelo is said to have greatly influenced the development of Western art. He is best known as a painter and a sculptor. His most famous works include David and the Sistine Chapel. Up there in the upper right of your screen, you can see those 2 pieces from Michelangelo. The Sistine Chapel, this is the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel that he painted, and then to the left of that is a part of the statue of David. I only put an image up there of a portion of that statue, but that is a statue of David that was sculpted by Michelangelo. And then the third artist that I wanted to draw your attention to today, his name is Raphael. Raphael's work is admired for its clarity of form and ease of composition. and for its visual achievement of the Neoplatonic ideal of human grandeur. I know that's a mouthful, but basically he was a painter, and he was a very well-known painter and a very well-respected painter, much like Michelangelo and Da Vinci were. And he is best known for his Madonnas. What are Madonnas? Madonnas are paintings of Mary, the religious figure in the Bible who was Jesus' mother. And so he's got many, many paintings that kind of reflect his image of what he thinks Mary looked like. And the one that I've put up here is called Madonna and Child by Raphael. And so this is a painting of his depiction of Mary and the child, Jesus, kind of sitting in her lap there. And so that's Raphael. Now another philosophy or idea or concept that I want you to understand about the Renaissance is this idea of humanism. Humanism is the belief that people are rational beings. This philosophy emphasizes the ingenuity and inventiveness of the individual apart from the influence of God or any religious guidance. Okay, so once again, you can see kind of a contrast, kind of a difference between some of the ideas of Martin Luther and the medieval church and Christianity, or the Catholic Church of that time, and the Renaissance. There was kind of a change, kind of a time where they were changing in their thinking. And again, this is something that you really should kind of look at on your own and decide for yourself what you agree with, what you disagree with. Maybe do some more research on your own. Google some of these things. Google Renaissance, Google Catholic Church and Lutheranism and Christianity, and kind of look at those things for yourself. It really is important that you come to a place in your life where you have, that you're thinking critically about these things and making your own decisions as to what you believe with regard to these things. But this is part of history, religion, humanism, Renaissance, all of these things. These are part of learning about history, and the critical thinking part is up to you. And so that's the end of my lesson for this video. What I want you to do now is stop the video, and there is a short worksheet on the Renaissance. It once again has the text that we already kind of went over, and some questions there, some fill-in-the-blank questions from the text. You should have no problem really filling in the blanks on these questions from the text that's in the worksheet. So if you can stop your video and go ahead and complete that worksheet, and that'll be our lesson for today.